Something that is a consistent refrain in this particular debate, the Thunderfoot versus Stawa Films debate, as well as in the general picture of the supposed clash of civilizations now taking place between the West and the Islamic world. The phenomenon that I allude to is the constant repetition of the mantra, "Where are the moderates? Where are the moderate Muslims? Why aren't you there preaching moderation in the mosques, etc., etc., etc.?" Well, I would posit the view that there are plenty of Muslims that can actually make a legitimate claim that the same absence of moderation is taking place in the West. Now, for one thing, I think it's a bit of a liberty to say that the other side is not being moderate, because the very same people that tend to accuse the other guy of being moderate tends to damn his own society for its apathy. So, what exactly is it that we want the moderates to do, to think, to put into practice philosophy we want them to espouse? Again, I know people are getting sick of me saying this, but I visited Tunisia in 2002, directly after, or approximately, I should think, 8 months after the attacks on the Twin Towers, 9/11. And I expected the 9/11 issue to be all the go. It would be on everyone's tongues. I assumed that people would be worried about the potential implications of it, etc., etc. As it was, they were aware that this had happened, and they were terribly shocked and sorry for it. But what dominated their thinking was the attack on the Jerba synagogue, which took place, which had actually taken place quite recently, prior to my arrival in Tunisia. This was an ancient Tunisian synagogue that had lived, that had sort of existed peacefully on this tourist island off the coast of Tunisia. Populated, this island is not really populated. The majority, I think, are Jewish, but it's got a very old established Tunisian Jewish community, and they were generally seen as 100% Tunisians and not to be mistaken for Israelis, I suppose. And some Islamic extremists blew it up. Now, this shocked the Tunisian people. They thought this was a terrible thing, because this had actually taken place in their own country. It's not that they didn't care about 9/11. It's just that 9/11 was way over there in America, whereas Jerba was right here, and it also was something that would cause the average Tunisian Muslim to re-examine his own beliefs, and maybe his own words. Because I'm sure that every Tunisian sort of said, does my sort of low-level, sort of passive Arab anti-Semitism, has that led to this? There was, if anything, there was this powerful sense of, I guess, guilt. Like, okay, we don't like the Israelis, we don't like what they're doing to the Palestinians, but have we crossed a line into absolute, like, actual being against Jewish people, even if they're harmless? This is where people, I think, get shocked. The same phenomenon, I think, is taking place in this South Park cartoon, Posten, even Salman Rushdie issue. I think the average moderate Arab in the street, the average moderate Muslim, sort of is vaguely aware that this is going on, that somebody's doing something wretched about making fun of Islam or whatever. But it doesn't really concern them very much, and it's taking place way over there, nothing to do with me. So, to call upon moderate Muslims to denounce something that they might not even actually care much about is kind of unreasonable. By the same token, it's also unreasonable to fix the blame for Palestine and for Iraq and for any other number of grievances that the Islamic world might have against the West, on the apathy, impotence, or general uninterest of moderates in the West. Of course we're interested, but again, it's not that real to us, and we can only actually win so many victories in this sort of fight against moderation and extremism. We can't control the pace of events the way one might think, any more than you can. So I think that the position of the moderate is very uncomfortable in that his own community or his own side or whatever sometimes calls him an extremist or pandering to extremism, a weak-kneed liberal, mealy-mouthed milquetoast or whatever you want to say. Whereas on the other side, he's sort of seen as equally weak, but equally weak in resisting the hardliners in his own community. I accept that. I think that anyone who actually wants to consider themselves a moderate has to understand that people are going to judge you and hate you for it. That doesn't mean that it's a morally neutral or relative position to be in. It just means that it's an uncomfortable position to be in, and a nuanced one, which is a lot more than can be said for the hardliners. Thank you.